All right, what is up, YouTube? And for here we have more interesting new cards being released. We are in the precipice of V-Jump coming out, so do bear in mind over the next day or so there will be a massive influx of information coming out for everybody to kind of enjoy. So, the first big one of the night was actually the Kuriboh. Now, this card is actually very interesting in terms of card design, because I don't think we've ever actually had a card like this. And as you can kind of see here, the Monster Reborn art around the card is absolutely wonderful. I love the Egyptian theme that they were developing with this card, that it is absolutely beautiful for what it does. And it does cool things. So it is 300, 200. So you can only use this card's first and second names once per turn each. Don't get this confused. Just kind of understand that, yes, there is only so much that you can do with it. So, the first effect, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard this card and then target one monster in either graveyard, except for this guy, and special summon that monster in defense mode. But that monster will go to the graveyard during the end phase. Did you want to summon a chum blocker? Did you want to put something in the way to inconvenience your opponent? You can do that with this little furry guy. And if this card is destroyed by battle or a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can activate this effect. During this turn's end phase, you get to add a Monster Reborn from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Ladies and gentlemen, they have made the first card that allows you to search for Monster Reborn. I would just like to take this time to say thanks, Konami. You've done wonderful work. I think that this is one of the best arted cards. I don't think this card is supremely amazing, but it does add a little extra flavor into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I do like my flavor and things like that. So, good job on the card design with this. I'm actually curious to see where this is going to go in the near future as well. Now, moving on along here, we got Out Trigger Expand. Ooh. So this is a continuous spell card for our friends in the Infinite Ignition department. So, first effect, Machine Xyz monsters you control cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. This is actually something that we kind of needed. I don't like when my opponent can target by boss monsters, especially if I'm trying to play something like Infinite Ignition. So having non-targeting protection is great. And then once per turn, you can target one Infinite Ignition Xyz monster you control. Special summon from your deck one Machine Xyz monster that is 2 ranks higher than that monster, controlled by using this material. This special summon is treated as an Xyz summon. Also transfer the materials of the summoned monster. You add special summon monsters except for Earth monsters for this turn after you activate this effect. Ladies and gentlemen, we've done it. They gave a rank up spell card to Infinite Ignition. You want to make your life easier? Oh, we've done it. This is wonderful. And the fact that they build it in to non-targeting protection as well. Unfortunately, this doesn't have Infinite Ignition or anything like that in the card name, so I don't know how great the searchability on this is actually going to be. You know, consider what it is in the long run. But I mean, non-targeting protection, rank up, and I mean, okay, sure, it locks me into Earth Machine for the turn. I mean, Cyber Dragons are still going to be the issue for this deck for what it's worth, you know, so take it for what it's worth. Great support card for the archetype. I'm just kind of a little bit shaky on the whole Infinite Ignition thing. Jokes. Moving on along. Is this another Witchcrafter? Oh, yeah. So, we have a couple of Witchcraft cards I wanted to talk about today. Because there's one I missed a couple weeks back, and things like that. So, you can only use this card's first and second effects once per turn. She is level 2, and she is adorable. Absolutely she is. So, what we got here? So you can only use this card's first and second effects once per turn each. So during your main phase quick effect, you contribute this card and then discard a spell card, and then special summon one Witchcraft monster from my deck except for herself. It's kind of what we've noticed with a lot of the Witchcraft monsters. As long as you've got a spell card to kind of fuel the initial transformation or the sacrifice, you can lone fire into anything that you want in the deck, which I think is really cool. I'm just curious to know what the rest of this is going to do. And then second effect here, if you have no cards in your hand, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then target one witchcraft card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So they gave us a banish effect to also recur back something else, which, okay, once again, this is all fine and dandy. I just hope whatever the spells are actually going to do in this archetype are actually going to be good. Because if they don't have additional banish effects and things that, you know, fuel the natural process or progress of the strategy, then this is just, it's going to fail. And I don't want to see this one fail. I had the most potential for this one out of all of them, just because I liked what they were trying to do with the witchcraft. You know, giving all the monsters lone fire-esque effects seems really cute, but, you know, it leaves a little bit of desire to be fulfilled, in my opinion. So that's that. Moving on along here. This was Card of Spirit. This has been floating around for a little while, coming out actually recently. I haven't given my thoughts on this yet, but it's normal spell card. You can only activate one Card of Spirit per turn. So each player chooses one card from their deck. Okay? Then each player chooses 4 random cards from their opponent's deck, and if they do, each player will shuffle the 5 cards chosen from their decks, and then will randomly pick to reveal and add one to the hand, and shuffle into their decks the rest of the cards. So when I first initially saw this, I was like, okay, so we're going to painful choice this, where you get to pick 1, but your opponent picks 4. This is actually a unique card because it does give knowledge to your opponent about what you're playing. And I'm not exactly sure if I want my opponent looking through my deck, seeing my ratios and things like that. I don't strictly think that this card is going to see very much competitive play at all. It is a cheesy idea, you know, don't get me wrong, but the initial card design for this, it just seems very weighted down for potentially what you're kind of getting out of it. Does that make sense? Like, it's, I guess, risk versus investment at this point, and this is heavy, like a little bit too much for what I want to be giving the knowledge to my opponent. And cool card and concept, but yikes. Now this was the big one. This was the Witchcraft Master Vire. So you can only use the first and second effects of her once per turn each. Okay, stats coming in at 1,028, and she is level 8. But it doesn't matter because we can hard make her, no real issue whatsoever. So during damage calculation, when a spellcaster you control battles an opponent's monster, you can reveal any number of different spell cards from your hand, and if you do that, monster gains 1,000 attack and defense for each spell card revealed. Quick effect, you can discard 1 spell card to negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of the turn. For a level 8 boss monster, this is pretty interesting. I think this was an interesting spin on a concept that they were trying to do with the witchcraft. I'm just curious to know what the spell cards do. Once again, if these are spell cards that I can pull out of my ass and recur back to my hand, then I can see the potential advantage generation with this, and I will go with that, and I'll be happy with that. But, you know, considering the fact that, like, I can just discard a spell card and lone fire her out of my deck free, I kind of wish she would special summon other witches, but kind of once you're at the pinnacle, like, you can't really call out other witches, and it's kind of disappointing that they did it this way. But once again, what are my other spell cards going to do, guys? Come on now, I'm kind of looking forward to this. And then last major interesting thing today is we got a Monster Strike collab here, and so one of these promos will almost certainly never see the light of day in the TCG. So we actually have the Toon-ish Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and then we have a fresh spellcaster that is 2,600 in Dark. Now, in Duel Links, in a format where I can flip my beautiful spell card, Magician's Circle, and special summon this from my deck, absolutely. I'm looking forward to this, but it's kind of a shame that I don't think we're actually ever going to get this. I am the ruler of all creation, sitting atop the supreme throne. Let there be light. And you get these cards by playing the Monster Strike and clearing in-game missions to get game exchange tickets to exchange these. And then there's a chance to get Millennium Rares. Actually, that's interesting. So what do you guys think about this news? Please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think about these new interesting cards. And, well, guys, I'm out. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out VanCole40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.